Go.
That's what you're going to do?
That what's already done.
We're already going.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. BelleSchmidt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah,
This is cool because you're the first guest that I got to sit next to at church this morning. And then we got to have breakfast at the local Perkins, which is obviously a great breakfast spot. And now we get to do this.
You don't do this for all your guests?
Nah, don't
I feel
tell them.
special now.
Don't tell them. We don't want them to hear that part.
Okay.
No, I'm super excited. And just the little bit I've got to, because what's super fun is you're a guest that I don't know at all, which is cool. I know it's probably maybe a little intimidating or a little different. But just listening to you the last handful of hours, I'm really excited to hear your testimony. And you have a charisma and a flair to you that is beyond your years of life. Like, it's very, I don't know where it comes from, but I'm excited to kind of learn that. We were talking as the Peanut Gallery, Adam and Chuck were setting up a little bit, and I had just read through this, but you brought up something Paul talks about on being, well, I'll let you say it. How did you word it? I liked how you phrased it well.
Are we talking about like the weaker brethren thing that we're talking about? That thing?
Yep.
Yeah, we were, I forget how had started. We were something
talking
about like drinking and stuff. And I was talking about kind of a combination of the weaker brethren principle and then another one. And I'm probably paraphrasing the second one because I don't remember the verses off the top of my head. But this idea that Paul talks about where if something is sin to you, it's a sin for you to do it. So if in your mind, even if it's not like the Bible doesn't say don't do this, if you believe it's wrong and you do it anyways, it's sin because it's like it's a rebellion in your heart. And so the example I gave when we were talking was like yellow socks, right? If I believed in my heart, like truthfully, that wearing yellow socks is a sin, but then I have a friend, they're like, it's not a sin, you could totally do it, and they try to convince me. And so I put on a pair of yellow socks. I have sinned because I believed it was wrong. I did it anyways. And so I'm in rebellion. And then the weaker brethren principle is, if me doing something is going to cause a brother to stumble, right? So if I know someone has a problem with wearing yellow socks, if I know it's a sin to them to wear yellow socks, and I'm like, it's not wrong, so I'm going to wear yellow socks, and I wear yellow socks around them all the time. It's harmful to our relationship, and it's harmful to them because that's me trying to convince them they can do it. And again, if I convince them they can do it and they do it, believing it's wrong, I've caused them to stumble, and I've caused them to sin in their heart. And so when you have, like, I don't drink, but I don't think, alcohol is sinful. I think it's wrong to get drunk, but I don't think alcohol itself is sinful. And so if I'm around people and they do drink, hey, what are you drinking? I'll take a little sip of it, so they don't think I'm sitting here judging them. I'm just not going to get a drink of my own, Or I have some friends that are more conservative, and they only wear skirts. And so when I come to their house, I will only wear a skirt, and that's a blessing for me to be able to do that, to be able to serve. It's a service to each other as Christians, to be able to be that. And like Paul talks about being all things to all men for the sake of Christ, right? If he's got those Gentiles that are, they're not subject to the law, they don't really care about the law, then when he's around them to minister to them, he's not going to be that. He's not going to be that super strict, I stick to the law, I'm a Jew. But if he's around the opposite, if he's around those Jews that are super serious about the law, he's going to still follow some of those, those laws to reach the Jews. And I think that's what we as Christians need to be is within the constraints of what we believe doctrinally and in our conscience, we can, in good faith, be flexible on these things. It's what we need to do as service to the brethren.
Well, so 1 Corinthians chapter 10 is basically verse 23 through the end of it, 33, is basically exactly what you summed up. I'm just going to start at the beginning. I'll read like 23, 24, and then the end of it.
Okay.
So 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23, I have the right to do anything. You say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. No one should seek their own good, but the good of others. And then it kind of goes through a little story about eating. But then at the end, just going to jump forward, verse 31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Do not cause anyone to stumble, whether Jews, Greeks, or the church of God, even as I try to please everyone in every way. For I am not seeking my own good, but the good of many, so that they may be saved.
Hmm?
I mean, that's spot on.
Yeah, and the specific verse I really like is where Paul, he's talking about the issue of eating meat sacrificed to idols.
Yeah.
And basically he's like, now we know, and idols are nothing. We know these false gods are nothing. But like if you're invited to the house of an unbeliever, you know, and they tell you, hey, this meat sacrificed to an idol, don't eat it for their sake.
Yep.
Right? And then he goes on and he says, if not eating meat, you know, would bring people to Christ, if eating meat would cause them to stumble, I would never eat meat for the rest of my life. And that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
You know, how, what you would sacrifice for the sake of others. And I think it's Hosea, you know, the prophet, and God came to him and he said, Hosea, you're going to go marry a prostitute because you're going to be an object lesson for me. And he did. And he went and he married a prostitute. He had kids with her. She left him and cheated on him, and he had to go and buy her back, right? She left him, goes back to the prostitution, and he pays for her back. And there's so many lessons you can learn from that. But when I think about that, I just think like, man, marriage can be such a blessing, and it's so sacred. But he was willing to give up that Song of Solomon marriage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That God has for people. He was willing to give that up to be an object lesson for God. It's incredible to me. And it just makes me, you know, think everyone has that thing in their life that God's like, you need to give this up. And it's, you have to have such genuine faith to get through that and to be able to do it.
And the ability to recognize it.
Yeah.
Because without the faith, you probably won't recognize what that thing is that you have to give up.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole idea of it's just crazy that you brought this up, because I just was reading through Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians over the past couple weeks. And you almost, the way that Paul's talking there to the church and how you should be to non-believers with, like you said, the meat and everything else, it's almost what you look for, like at a church, right? Like at a leadership at a church. Because like, I think there's that, if you go to a church and you see the pastor saying one thing, but then he's doing another thing, it's so hard. You like discredit that. And then you start questioning kind of the whole basis of Christianity and what the church is and what's going on. So I think that though those pastors who really hang on to that scripture and tried that scripture, because like they know, you know, a pastor can, you know, he said they can. Okay, let me back up. If a pastor were to go to the bar and have a couple beers with dinner or whatever, you know, it's no big deal. He can. Like, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But if you are maybe just getting started at church and you're kind of like, maybe you're struggling with alcohol or something, and then you go and you see the pastor who you was just talking on Sunday at the bar having a couple beers, even if it's with his family, you'd be like, I just don't feel like that's okay. So it's almost like a standard. And obviously Paul's talking to all of us, but that we need to try to hold ourselves to for our brothers, like be our brother's keeper.
Yep.
You know, and not lead them astray, not give them some reason to stumble.
Yeah.
So that's very powerful.
Yeah. We talk about church leadership. There's so much in the Bible about what the leaders need to be, and it's basically, you know, that is like their house has to be in order, right? Their kids have to be well behaved, disciplined. He's doing it right. He's doing things the biblical way. He's the husband of one wife. So many things that the Bible talks about, and yeah, it's just you got to practice what you preach. You know, this is I think what James is kind of all about. Like, you say you have faith, but if you don't have the works, what's it good for? You know what I mean? For other people, what is your faith good for if you don't have the works to back it up? And then he quotes something that Jesus said on the Sermon on the Mount. Let your King James, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay, right? Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And I think it's interesting because when Jesus preached it and he said that, he was talking about like, don't swear, you don't make promises, keep your word, right? When James uses it, it's after this whole thing about your works, like show your faith. And so the way he uses it is really interesting to me. It kind of gives me that like, practice what you preach. If you say you believe it, do it. You know, if you say you think it's wrong, don't do it. And it's, you know, be that that's, you know, being that light, and that's being that example. And not just doing it, but doing it with the right heart, so that unbelievers look at you and they say, they don't see someone who is constrained by rules. They see a free man, a free woman who is living in the liberty that God gave them and choosing to not partake in certain things, and they're happy about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you go out and I say, I don't drink, and I'm happy about it. I have great time with my friends. You know, we can go out. When my brother got married, he had an amazing wedding. It was so much fun. And I had a blast. It was amazing. I didn't drink at all. I had a great time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that what you just spun through in like record speed there is so many conversations that have been had right in this room with the men's group.
Really?
So it's wild how you bring, I mean, it's just crazy how God works. But we were discussing how in James it's talking about the works, but we were kind of talking about how through faith that then it's like works through faith.
Yes.
Not faith through works. Like you don't have to do the works to gain faith. Once you have faith, you get to do works through faith.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that's how you laid it out too. But it's a hard thing for a lot of people, including myself, and we, you know, that's hence why we had conversations about it, where you think you need to do more. You need to do the works. You need to do the things. You got to walk the line perfect to get like this acceptance and get this grace from God. But it's like, no, that's not how it works.
No, because what does the Bible say pleases God? It's faith.
Yeah.
You know, you can't please God without faith. That's what I'm paraphrasing. That's what it says.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important, and that's something. There's been so many times in my life God has been chipping away at me little by little, you know, teaching me how to have faith, because there's so many times where I'm like, I can fix it. Like if I take the steps, you know, and I'm doing it the Bible's way, right? I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and the Bible tells me to treat people this way, and I'm trying my best, but it's just not working. And there's a deeper issue. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, a lot of people I've heard use like dandelions as a metaphor, right? Like you can sit there plucking the heads off dandelions all day, but they're coming back because you didn't uproot them. And so it's so, on one way it's really hard, but it's so simple, you know, to have faith. And people want control. Everybody wants control in their life. I heard one lady once, she's like, I hate roller coasters because I just like control. I'm like, that's such a deep issue. That's something you got to work through, because that's not good at all.
I like how you say faith is so simple.
Yeah.
And like the way you say that, and the way, like, I believe you. Like when you say it, I just believe how you say that. So what brought you to this faith? Like, where did you find this faith that is just so simple for you and like radiates from you? Like, how did that begin?
So I'm only 23. So most of the stuff that's happened in my faith walk is pretty recent. It's not like, oh yeah, I can't be here like 20 years ago. God did this thing in my life and it changed my life. It was like 2 months ago, you know?
Well, that doesn't matter.
But so I think there were two really big hurdles. One just huge thing that I had to get over. I was raised in a family where I have 6 siblings. It was a big family. My mom got married when she was 18. She didn't go to college, just became a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling, all that stuff.
Wow.
My dad was a master electrician, but he had really terrible back issues. Like so bad, the doctors can't touch him, because if they try to fix one thing, everything else is just going to get way more messed up.
Oof,
and my mom told me that one time a doctor even told him, he was like, if any doctor comes to you and says he can help you, you run. He can't. It's not possible. So he had, you know, stacks of medication. He had that like metal medicine cabinet in the closet, and he's like, if you guys ever get into there and you eat one of these pills, you will die.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, okay, strong stuff.
Stay away from pills. Stay away from pills. Got it.
But yeah, and so, but their marriage was like a classic like love story. You know, she was raised in a really bad home. She became a Christian at 15 but didn't know what it meant. She had no doctrine or whatever. He grew up in a Christian home, and when she met him, it was like she was unlike any guy she had ever met in her entire life. You know, there's something extra to this guy. He was passionate. He just had life in him. And she, you know, he helped her grow spiritually. She had no idea until she met him and learned what a Christian marriage looked like and how wonderful that could be. Her family did not like him at all. Said that he was dragging her off into a cult. And just slander about them through the entire town. But she, you know, she was like, I don't care. I found truth, and I found truth in the Bible. I found this man who is loving. She grew up in an abusive home. Like he's loving, he's safe, he's spiritually mature, and they got right. You know, she turned 18 and they got married. And they had this kind of idea of this perfect, you know, like Christian home and all these kids. And it was also new to her, you know, because she grew up, she never homeschooled. She was a first generation homeschooler. Or homeschool, like, you know.
Family.
Yeah. And, you know, it wasn't perfect. I know some of my siblings, talking to them, they look back and they're like, man, if we had done this differently, I think I would have excelled better and blah, blah, blah. But I think for how she started, for what she had, she did remarkably well. You know, for starting with nothing, no knowledge of how to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think she did really well. And I have no complaints about being homeschooled. I hear a lot of people who are homeschooled and they're like so upset about this or that. I'm like, I think it was great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But and because my mom and my dad, it was such a unique thing, and they got married so young, and it was like a whole new world for them, and it was just amazing. That's kind of how she portrayed, you know, finding like the right person. And so specifically me and my sisters, we grew up with that idea of this kind of over romanticized, you know, there's this right person and it's going to be magical and it's going to be wonderful and you should get married young because it's a wonderful thing to do. And for some people it is, but I think, you know, it was right for her.
Yeah.
It was a great thing for her and for my dad. Is the right thing to do. But there's another side to it, you know, that Paul tells us about, you know, being single and, you know, the blessings. And in my family, it was always like, yeah, being single, like they're supportive, you know, being single is great. It's a blessing. But then, you know, the tales of romance and all those things was still there. The
culture and society and the world.
It was still there. And so my biggest desire growing up, my whole life, the only thing, I didn't want to be rich. I didn't care about like how many kids I had. I didn't care about what kind of house. I just wanted to be married. That was my thing, you know? And when I became a teenager, I didn't want to go to college because I was like, I want to homeschool and I want to have a big family and I want to run my home.
You're like, I want to be my mom.
Yeah, basically. She was one of my biggest role models, you know.
That's a huge compliment. That's amazing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah. And my dad was probably one of the kindest people and most patient people you will ever have met.
Things dads could all do better at, patience. Speaking for myself, at least.
It was crazy. He rarely got angry. I remember like one time he got frustrated at me because he thought I was lying about something, which is legitimate because I was actually really not a kid. So, I understand why he thought that. But it's very rare that he would actually get mad about anything. But my mom, she was kind of, not that she would like get like, I mean, you know, moms get angry sometimes, you know, they're on the phone and you're trying to get their attention and they're like, hi, being so nice. And they're like, hey, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're
The
like
gestures.
scolding you with
The
their
anger
while they're being
gestures.
so nice.
Yes.
So we're like, what a hypocrite.
It's a skill. I don't know how to do it.
Mom, it's just what moms do.
Yeah.
You know. But she wasn't like an angry person because she grew up in such a bad household. She wanted to make sure that was never what we went through. And she's a very black and white person. She's very like, you're going to follow your head, then your heart follows. You know what I mean? Which is a great lesson. And so she was a little more kind of strict and black and white in that way. And that's how I am, you know? So I wasn't the type of person where if I have a problem, I'm not going to go to Dad because he's going to do so well and try to make me feel better about it.
Yeah.
But I need my head needs to be straight first. Like I need to understand it before I can feel better about it. So I went to my mom. And she's not gonna mess around with like feeling stuff. She's just gonna say, well, this is how it is. This is what the Bible says. Boom. And I'm like, great. I feel better. So yeah. Oh, they had a really good dynamic between the two of them.
And during the growing up and homeschooling, you guys, I mean, were you a regular attenders at church and plugged in that way? I mean, faith was a big part of the household and the structure.
It was huge. You know, it was the core of who we were as a family. We were super poor when I was kids. I remember my dad going through the house looking for change for gas. You know, we originally, my parents had bought a house back when my he always has had the back problems, but he was doing okay at the time. So he was making good money as a master electrician. You know, bought a house. But then the recession happened. We lost that house. And ever since then, we were living in people's basements. The church paid for us to live at a hotel for a few weeks. We rented a couple places, just moving here and there. God provided. But I would not say at all that I had a bad childhood, you know, because we had each other and we had truth and we had faith and we had God. And yeah, it was the core of who we were. We went to some different churches. Our parents were always like, we do not care about anything except for is the teaching solid. They were like, we're not messing around with this, you know, let's read 2 verses and then let me tell you a story. You know what I mean? Kind of churches. Like it's gonna be all biblically based. You're there to learn. You know what I mean? And so we moved around trying to find a church for a long time. And then when I was about 12 years old, we found the church that I'm still currently going to, Legacy Baptist Church, and we just moved to Independence. And that's how it was. The pastor is very, like, we're just going to talk scripture. We're going to compare scripture with scripture. I'm going to give you, he's good. We used to do on Tuesday night service, like a Greek class, basically. We would take like 1 or 2 verses, sometimes half a verse. And we'd go through the Greek. He had us, it was really small at the time. Sometimes just my family would show up to that service. So it was very like intimate gathering.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so we'd go through like different like parts of the Greek and like the tenses and the verb forms and all that kind of stuff. So he's very in depth about all that stuff, which I appreciate. I personally will not regularly attend a church unless the pastor knows the original languages. That's super important to me.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, and he does. He knows his stuff. So we've been there ever since then. I've been there for like 11 years. We're like the people that have been at that church the longest.
Yeah.
All the other members,
You're the elders, the church elders.
A little bit. They've moved on with their life, you know, moved out, new people have come in, and my family's been there the longest.
Wow.
And I actually just recently have been working on becoming an actual member myself, like a voting member.
Yep.
Which has been really cool. Fun process. But I feel like I strayed. What was it that you asked?
You're doing great. No, I kind of let you go because I'm intrigued and listening to you. It's amazing just the life experiences that you've went through, especially in faith, and your knowledge and the journey that you've been on at such a young age is a huge testament. It sounds like to your family, to your mom and dad, and the way that you grew up.
Yeah.
But that's where I was kind of just getting at where your faith came from, and it's kind of obvious that it came from.
I had a great family.
Your mom and dad.
I had amazing parents. And yeah, I had amazing parents, and that was kind of life. you know, when
Yeah.
I was a kid. That was my childhood. Moved around a lot.
Very close
but really close knit. We're all still really close. We all come home from school on the weekends and we play Mario Kart together.
Yes.
You know, that's
Love
like that's our
You get the
that's our
Nintendo
thing.
Switch out, or you got like the old school 64.
Do you know
or...
what? Me and my one brother, our favorite is the GameCube.
Oh,
Double
that's a hot
Dash.
take. That's a hot take.
It's the best. It's so good. But other than that,
Chuck's
the
over there
Switch.
shaking his head like, no way. GameCube, not the right console.
Ooh,
But
nah, we're so good at it.
hang on, Chuck's got something.
I'm sorry, but I'm more of a Wii guy, me personally. I
Mario
grew
Kart
up
for the
with
Wii is great.
I don't even have that yet at
Oh,
the moment.
Wii.
Might have to though. But I grew up with the Wii. The Wii was kind of my family console growing up. I played a lot of Wii Sports bowling back in the day.
Yeah.
And Adam's losing his mind because he's like, he doesn't get any of it. He's like, Wii, GameCube. Nope. I like to cut grass and chop trees down and destruct things and make paths and plant
Yep.
flowers. That's awesome. Sorry.
Yeah.
Tangent point.
No, you're good. We're
You're
really
very close knit. And do you think that was that just, I mean, due to, you know, not having a ton of money, it kind of forced you guys to like, hey, we need to stick together. Like, we got to figure this out together. You know, we all got to work together. Was that part of the scenario?
A little bit it was. Physically, we had to be close because at one point we were staying in a place where all 7 of us were staying in like an apartment attached to somebody's house. So all 7 of us slept in the living room. We had 2 bunk beds, and then a couple mattresses stacked up, and then we'd pull them out at night. So yeah, it was tight space. You had to learn to kind of get along. But then as we got older, like me and 2 of the other oldest, so the 3 oldest of the 7 actually was helping mom and dad with like rent and stuff because this was at a point my dad's back problems got worse.
Yeah.
And he had, I think it was, my mom's gonna like listen to this later and tell me I'm like totally wrong about this, but I think it was 4 different issues. He had like narrowing of the spinal column, right? So you got that big nerve down the middle of your spine, but the spine is narrowing. He had at least one like a herniated disc and also like disc disintegration.
Oof,
so the discs like slowly wear down. So and all in like one like lower section of his back. So really bad. He liked to stick to a strict schedule, like eating habits stuff, and I think it kind of helped him.
Oh, okay. So he's very regimented.
With some of his habits, yeah.
Yep.
But it was just getting worse, and so this was a point where after the recession happened, we lost our house, and then he couldn't find work. You know, electrical, it's anything in construction is hard on your body.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he didn't have a good back. And so he, on top of the fact that there was no work at that time, this was the recession.
Yeah.
He couldn't find work because of that. But then after that was kind of over, he couldn't find work because at this point his back was so bad.
Back's failing
So
him.
he tried everything.
Yeah.
He tried starting his own business, you know, his own electrical. He's like, I can manage it. You know, I'll hire some
I know how to do the
electricians.
things. Mentally, I know how to do it.
He tried that. My mom had to go to work for a little while. She worked at a nursing home. So my dad kind of took care of the homeschooling and Bible study and that kind of thing at home. But then that just wasn't working well. So mom came back and there were different times where us older ones were helping to school the younger ones. I really enjoyed it. I like teaching a lot, and I've come as I've gotten older to really, really enjoy children. So that's something that I'd really like to do someday. But anyway, so there was a lot of older like helping.
Yeah.
You know, helping
just a
the
community,
family.
just a village. Like you were your own.
Yeah,
Just-
and it's a biblical thing.
It
you
is.
know, family. You know, you help each other out financially, and it's so we did. We started helping like money. We'd go out. We all 3. At this time, I think we all 3 worked at the same pizza place in
Awesome.
Buffalo. Used to be Buck's Pizza.
Okay.
Now it's Buffalo Pizza.
Yep.
We all 3 worked there. So you work, you come home, you get your paycheck. Here you go, mom and dad.
And the next one goes.
Yeah.
Basically.
And we were happy to do it. You know, we were happy to be able to help out. And yeah.
When you can see your work and the hard work immediately impacting your life and your family's life, I think that makes it so much more rewarding too.
Yeah.
You know, you weren't doing it for personal gain reasons. You were doing it like, hey, I'm doing this to help us. Like, we need this, and we're all in this together. And I think that's an amazing way to look at life versus, you know, being kind of I always say, like, if you're on the road and there's a bunch of traffic and you got these people that are driving like craziness and whatever, and I'm like, everyone drives like they're the most important person on the road. They don't worry about anyone else on the road. No one else is trying to get to work or get home or get to the hospital or get wherever. It's the one person in the car behind the steering wheel is the most important person. And I think if we can take a step back and try to have that community, that village, that small knit approach where it's like we actually look at our friends, our family, our church, our small groups as like an extension of ourselves.
Yeah.
And how we can impact them with what we do. I think that's going to help make better choices and help kind of clear out some of the noise. Because I think it's easy to be distracted and you kind of get like wandery on like, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not 100% sure. And it's just kind of, in the world kind of just like pulls you into its mess, right?
Yes.
Or if you can stay focused, I think you're going to have much better results.
Yeah, and that's our culture right now. It's very selfish. Do you know what I mean? I personally think, in most cases, I don't like nursing homes. I think, you know, how did people always do it for all of history? Like your parent gets old, they stay with you until they die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you take care of them, and that's the way it should be. And I you know, when my mom is old and she can't take care of herself, you know, she's gonna live with one of us.
Yeah.
We're not sending her to a nursing home. That would be so awful. You know what I mean? Can you imagine just dying in a nursing home, like surrounded by staff, like, and just living? That's the last few years of your life. You know, people are so much more precious than that. And
I can't imagine being the staffers. That would be such a hard job.
I know.
Because you get connected and you have such a huge heart to do that.
And that was my mom, because she worked.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
She went back actually. So she worked it for a while. She came back home, and then when it was like, okay, it's not really even an option now for my dad to be working, she had to go back to that, working in a nursing home. And she was a real blessing to the people at that nursing home. Just being a testimony for Christ and being loving, because, you know, people that work at a nursing home or people that work at a school, I find there's a lot of them that they're always complain. You know what I mean? Like, oh, these people are so like annoying, and I like hate my job. Or like school teachers complaining about the kids, and I'm like, why are you doing this? If you don't have a heart for these people, why are you doing this?
No one forced you to.
No. So that's
well, what a gift your mom was to be able to do that for people in that stage of their life, that they got to meet someone that was such a light and such a blessing, and someone so strong in faith.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you can spend your last years, days, month, whatever it is, around someone like that, I mean, that's a huge gift.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, God was working through her in that, you know, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So you said earlier when we were talking that you were a huge introvert. I don't believe you based on talking to you now. And you said you weren't a people person and you like talking to people. I mean, take me through. So what switched? When were you such an introvert just because of the family and the tight knit? Like, you were close with your family, you just didn't have time for like outside world, outside community, and maybe being homeschooled didn't cause you to be, but maybe shaped you into being an introvert. And then at what point were you like, okay, I want to chase this uncomfortable feeling, or I want to be a teacher or be around kids or whatever. Like, where did that change for you?
So a lot of people like to tell me I'm competitive. I don't think that's the case. I think I have an aggressive personality. And so when there's something in me that I don't like I am this type of person, but I don't want to be, I'm like, I got to change that. You know what I mean? I want to change it. And so when I was a kid, it was a little bit that we were honestly pretty sheltered. Not a bad thing, but we were pretty sheltered.
Yep.
So we didn't have much in the way of social skills. My mom, because of the way she was raised, so like abusive and stuff, she wanted to give us so much freedom, and she wanted to love us so much. But that freedom included things like, don't care, like, wear what you want, don't care what people think, like, be who you are. And in one side, it's really good, but on the other side, that makes for some pretty bad social skills, because you gotta adapt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you don't want to be walking around looking or sounding like a total weirdo. So I did. I was looking and sounding like a total weirdo as a teenager. I was also never been a girly girl, more of a tomboy, so I didn't know how to do my hair. I never did makeup. I didn't know anything about fashion. I just kind of wore whatever.
Yeah.
So I was super awkward as a teenager. And yeah, on top of that, I was pretty introverted. Talking to people, it just made me really nervous. I never knew what to say. And they didn't seem to like me because, I wasn't very good socially.
Yeah.
And then I would overthink the fact that they don't like me and they don't want to talk to me. But I remember when I was younger going to church and being like, man, all these people, like the women, when we group up to do prayer, like they're talking and chatting and blah, blah, blah. I want to do that. I want to be able to just do that. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I forced myself, when we're doing the like prayer meetings with the women, I'm going to talk more, and I'm going to force myself to enter the conversation, even if it makes me uncomfortable. But the biggest thing that helped me overcome that was karate. I started that when I was 17. I was looking for a job, actually.
Okay.
And I didn't want to work at the pizza place anymore.
Okay.
I'm like, it's time to move. I'm not going to go to college, but I got to learn something. I want to do something else,
Yeah.
Let me go. And I was like, can I work here? I can do computer stuff. I can clean, whatever. And he's like, the owner's like, you can work here, but you have to know karate to work here. And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know that. And he's like, I'll give you a free 2 weeks. And I was completely hooked.
Wow.
It was so much fun. It was like the coolest thing. Because like I said, we were poor. I didn't do any sports growing up. We weren't in any clubs. I learned piano from my grandma, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
So
okay.
This karate thing was so cool. And it also made me feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I'm wearing these clothes that are weird.
Yeah.
And I'm out here. The first time I went in, I'm talking to somebody about, what this place is all about. And there's someone in the classroom just yelling. And I'm like, the heck is that?
Yeah.
Like, this place is weird, but I like it. And yeah, it made me really uncomfortable for the first like 2 years probably of going there before I started working there, actually, like being an instructor, just going there and learning. I really had to force myself to go every single time, because it's socially uncomfortable. I'm in a vulnerable position where I'm learning something new.
Yeah.
I don't look good doing it, I wasn't very coordinated yet.
Yeah.
But I forced myself to do it because I'm like, I don't want to be like this. I want to get past this, and I want to be more confident, and that helps with the, all the social things. And so yeah, eventually I took the opportunities that I could. I did the tournaments. You do the graduations, you have to perform in front of people, and then I started teaching. And you're teaching in front of the kids, and you're teaching in front of their parents that are on the other side of the glass. They're all watching. They're all there.
So you went from, I want to be the computer, I just want a job, to trying it 2 weeks, on fire for it.
Oh, yeah.
Because the uncomfortableness gave you, like, you knew, you were self-aware enough to know, I am so uncomfortable with this, but I need to do this. Because I know if I see this through, there's going to be some sort of gain. I'm trusting God. There's something through this.
Yep.
If I just do it, versus most people would be like, go back to that introvert. This is uncomfortable. I don't like it. I'm going to go away. I don't like it. You were like, no, I'm just going to put that on the shelf and try this.
Yeah.
And then you were teaching kids karate. Was it just a pretty fast paced thing? I mean, did you pick it up pretty quick?
Like karate
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say I'm a pretty fast learner.
Okay.
The confidence thing took a while because that's just repetition.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's not something you learn overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But through gaining confidence in that, and that made me so much, the confidence alone when you're trying to be, better socially is like the biggest thing. But then, I'm talking to kids, I'm talking to their parents, I'm conducting meetings, there's that social aspect of it. And it just helped. And that's the biggest thing that got me from super introverted, weird around people to
not afraid of anything.
I'm not. I can. If I'm afraid of something, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
You know
you're
what I
gonna
mean?
try it.
So I'm
Like,
not anymore.
yeah.
People. My brother. We were having a conversation once, and he's like, "What's your biggest fear?" And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, probably like the only thing that I'm like, I'd say is really a fear, and not even really, because I believe like scripturally based that this won't happen, but just being completely alone. You know what I mean? Like separated from people, separated from God. Like that's awful. That would be, and because yeah, like if I'm afraid of spiders, I'm gonna pick up a spider. If I if I'm like that thing's kind of scary, I'm gonna go do it. You know what
So
I
being
mean?
completely alone, and so you're not saying just like alone in the sense of like you are in Alaska in the middle of nowhere, no cell phone service, no nothing, no one around you,
Well, that's
just you. Like,
well, that can definitely be part of it because that's like getting closer to that complete
yes,
aloneness.
that is.
The closer
Yeah.
you get to it, the more.
But then you mentioned like, but like from God even.
a separation from God
Yes, that
is the most horrifying.
alone.
And this is my brother's answer. I'm like, what about you? What are you most afraid of? And he's like, the wrath of God. And I was like, that's a good answer.
Yeah, I guess I could have went with that one. Being completely
You
alone,
win.
being completely alone, that would be intimidating. But the wrath of God,
Oof.
that would also not be something I want to mess with.
No.
Yeah,
Um.
those are some very.
But yeah, and I'm
Not many people answer that question that way. I don't think,
I know. He's
someone asked me, I'd be
something
like,
else.
heights. I don't like heights. I don't like heights. Be like,
No.
yeah,
and
heights kind of scare me.
and
But now
things-
around Belle, I'd be like, I got to go climb to the top of this because like she's going to do it. So I'd
I'm
have to
gonna
do it.
Yeah, it's, and I'm not saying I don't get scared.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, things make me nervous, things make me scared, but that's, to me, it's something that I want to overcome. And I'm not stupid about it. You know, I'm not like, hey, that thing looks really cool, but it's also extremely dangerous. I'm not going to do it, you know, because
Yeah.
I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little stupid, but I'm
Going-
not that stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're well calculated. You're well thought out in, okay, that scares me, but how do I
Get over it
Get
without
over
being
it.
stupid about it.
yes, in like
Yeah.
a way that would be getting over it, not in a way that's like throwing caution to the wind
Mm-hmm.
and like, oh, I ain't scared, and then you do something.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, that was dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say there's one thing that still does kind of freak me out. And this is probably like the one thing that I haven't faced yet. And I intend to. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And that's guns. And you'll find out more about why as we
Okay.
keep talking.
Okay.
But that's something that I'm still that's like currently I need to work on that. And I've been thinking about it. Like I need to find somebody that wants some guns and we'll go
Like
to
a
the range and they
fear-
can help me.
Fear of being around them.
Yes.
Okay.
A
okay.
fear of being around them.
Okay.
It's very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Um,
that's as a human. I mean, that's your body too, like safety. Like
Yeah.
you just like you've taught and you know that like, hey, these things can do really bad things.
Yep.
If used improperly. So like it's your body. You're probably your mind going like, hey, if we stay away from these, we're safer. So I can understand that fear, but
Yeah.
no,
but
that's,
it's not. And this is, I think, important for people to do. Is it's not, hey, guns make me nervous, so let me just avoid them at all costs and stay away from anybody that's ever going to use them or blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I want to face it and I want to get over it because you can't use fear as a crutch. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
You,
Well, the devil likes fear, right? The devil
yeah.
like works through fear because fear is the
Mhm.
devil. Is really something that I tell myself a lot because like you, I mean, or maybe not as much as you, but like when I get scared or I'm afraid, fear really tries to just like carve a spot into my head and then it'll ruin whatever I'm doing or whoever I'm with. Like, I mean, maybe they might not even notice it, but it really affects me.
yeah.
And I'm going like, no, like this isn't the devil. Like this is like, I have nothing to be afraid of. Like
Mhm.
God is with me. I trust God, his plan, even as miserable as something might go, like God has a reason for me to do it.
Yeah.
So that's where fear, I try to just go like, no, it's the devil. Like it's the devil. Doesn't mean I don't get afraid. Like you said, like I still do, but I try to like talk myself out of it. Like, hey, this is the devil. Like, how are you going to combat this now that you know it's the devil? And you said self process it and whatever.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. So when you were talking, when we were at breakfast.
Mhm.
So you're going to school now, and you do. I'm sorry, the terminology isn't wrong,
That's okay.
but you do. I don't even. Is the word art? Would you call it art? I mean, it's a form of art,
Yeah,
but it's
my major is animation and illustration.
yes.
So a lot of it is obviously digital because of animation.
Yep. But even that's even like describes kind of like the way you do your art and like do your drawings and stuff. It's like animation style. Like, you know, maybe, you know, and
it's very, my style of art is, it's very cartoony.
yes,
it's
but
bright,
like I
it's
think
colorful.
cartoons, animation kind of similar. So that's interesting.
Yeah, just like life, you know what I mean? Like, how can I make this character who's jumping, you know, just exaggerate and make it look like there's just it's happening. Like you look at it and you almost see him jumping, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, so learning about animation has been super interesting to me.
Where did that start for you? Like, have you always been just very artistic, very like, has that been like throughout everything been something that you've been good at, like from like an early age?
It's always been something I like to do since an early age, and other people told me I was good at it. Looking back, I'm like, maybe for like that age, it was kind of good, but it was,
people are just being kind.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really admired people that could do art, specifically like the illustrations, you know, colorful and characters and that kind of thing. I've never really been interested in like paintings of trees, and things like that.
Yep.
But yeah, it was really impressive to me. But I never was like, I'm gonna do this, you know, for a career or anything. I actually didn't want to. I was like, that's gonna suck all the fun out of it. This is just hobby, you know. And it actually became more apparent to me last few years that art is what God wants to use me for. At least in part. And it's, when I was younger, my dad came to me and he was like, you know how I told you my parents were very like, you're free, make your own decisions, we support you. But my dad came to me, he's like, Belle, I never ever want to tell my kids what to do with their life, but I think that you should go to school for graphic design.
How old was this approximately? Do you remember?
I want to say like 15, 14.
So about the time you're supposed to start thinking about, you
Yeah.
know, what you want to do and how you want to grow up and do and be.
Right. And then I was kind of like, and I considered a lot of things for school. I was very undecisive.
Yeah.
But I was considering art at one point, but then decided against it. So I was like, don't want to do it. But then there was a point in my life, just like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, where for the first time in my life, I was at this crossroads where I'm like, I legitimately don't know what to do next. I have all these ideas. I could go back to school. I could go on another mission trip. I could move to another state and try something else as a job. And none of them were particularly sticking out to me. None of them seemed better than the other ones. And I was completely stuck. And at that point, that's a little, part of that story is a little getting ahead of myself. So I'm gonna back up for a minute.
Yeah,
let's back up for a minute.
Yep.
There's a little bit of a middle section here.
Yeah.
So we go from, you know, great childhood.
Yep.
You know, parents struggled a lot financially and all that
you
stuff.
guys
My
were
dad's
tight
health.
knit and in it together.
As we got a little bit older, I was like 16 years old. My dad's health got very bad. But the thing is, between the constant night and day excruciating back pain, all the drugs, the pills that he had taken for that pain over the years of medication, and the fact that his wife, who was a stay-at-home mom, never went to college, 7 children at home, all homeschooled, has to now go and support the family financially herself. It just killed him. And after years and years of, he tried so hard to support the family, and he just couldn't. And all of that weight over the years, it just wore away at him. And so mentally, he was going downhill. Okay. And we never actually ended up getting him like diagnosed in any kind of way, but he was going, you
Okay.
know. I remember one time he wouldn't talk. He sat at the table, at his spot at the table, and just sat there staring. Wouldn't say a word for like 2 days straight. No matter who tried to talk to him, he would not speak. He started to have weird ideas about hearing voices and thinking God was talking to him. He was like spending money on things that our family couldn't afford. He felt like such a failure. I remember one time I had made these pieces of art for all of my family, these like name drawings where every letter is like a different looking object that's part of your personality.
Oh, cool.
And I made one for mom and dad too. And I remember going into their room once, and it was sitting in the garbage. This drawing that I did that said dad and had all these things, and it was in the garbage. And I was like, what's going on? And I found out, you know, he was trying, one of the things he was trying to do starting up a new company was he was trying to get into graphic design. You know, maybe he could do that. You know, he could sit at a desk and do graphic design, but it wasn't working. And so in his mind, at this stage where he was at, it's like, nobody's appreciating my art. Why am I appreciating anybody else's? And this is not him.
Yeah.
He would never, ever, ever have done that.
Yeah.
But
between the medication,
it was
pain.
He wasn't him.
Yeah.
And so I took a piece of like graphic design art that he had made, and I put it in a frame and I hung it on my wall. And it made him feel a whole lot better. And I mean, part of me was like hurt, you know, about the fact that he threw it away.
And you're like 16?
Yeah.
16, 17.
But the other part of me was like, I can't be hurt about it. This is not him.
Yeah.
And and so there was little things that would seem to kind of bring him back. My pastor would come and talk to him, and he'd kind of seem like himself a little more for a couple days. We'd say something like meaningful to him, and he'd like brighten up a little bit. You know, I hang his art on the wall. He brightens up a little bit. But he just kept sinking.
And was it fast? I mean, when it started, did it go fast?
It was
or was it kind of like
a slow process?
Okay.
But in the last couple years of his life, it really it started speeding up. I was, you know, I'm a teenager. I'm old enough to kind of to understand what's going on. And so I started worrying that he was going to do something. You know, he's mentally,
not in his right mind.
He's not in his right mind.
Yeah.
And like I said, we hadn't tried to like forcibly get him evaluated or anything like that. We're not trying to like admit him into some mental institution or anything.
Yeah.
None of that had happened. So from everybody else's perspective, it's just, this guy is making bad decisions. He's not supporting his family. His wife has to go. And at least from my mom's perspective, there was a lot of judgment on our family at that time.
So just throwing more crap on that didn't need to be thrown.
Yep. And so, yeah, it got to the point he was unrecognizable. You know, he was not there. And I would start, you know, having these thoughts, you know, like being kind of extra aware at night in case he came, I don't know.
Yeah. Because like you said, you could tell he's not
right.
Yeah.
And like hearing him, you know, say things like he wants to go, you know, he's gonna go hunting, and he hadn't gone hunting for years. You're gonna go hunting now? Alone? Okay. You're gonna walk out into a field alone with a gun?
You're smart enough to know, like, okay, this isn't gonna work.
But yeah, so there's these my parents were really, really, my mom was really, really amazing about giving us the best childhood, you know, possible. She went to work, long hours. She worked so hard, but then she came home and she was smiling.
Yeah.
And we were having family time. You know, and she really held the family together at that time. But then one day I was at work. I was working at the pizza place still.
Okay.
My oldest sister was at college, so she's not in the state, but all of my other siblings, 5 younger siblings, were all at home.
Yep.
And
One's at college, you're working, other 5 are home. Okay.
they're home doing school.
Yep.
And my mom comes to pick me up from the pizza place, and she's like, you need to come home, there's like an emergency. And I was like, okay, let me get my keys. And she's like, no, get in my car, leave your car, let's go. And I did, and I got in the car, and she told me that my dad had shot himself. And getting, the story goes basically, my mom was sitting in the bedroom working from home, and she didn't notice my dad had just walked right past her out the front door, and she heard a big sound. She didn't know what's going on. She's doing work. My younger brother, the oldest boy, but like one under me, younger brother, heard the sound, went outside, and found him. He's the one, I think he's the one that called, mom, come here. She's freaking out. He's the one that called the police. I think he called our pastor too. So by the time my mom had come to get me, I came home. My dad's not there at this point. There's police tape.
Yeah.
Part of the fence was gone. And I go inside, and I'm like, where's everybody? They're all upstairs in like the loft. We had like a little loft just like up here.
Okay.
And they're sitting there, and my siblings are just playing a board game, and one of my youngest brothers, he just looks at me and he goes, Belle, I'm sorry. My youngest brother. And so that's,
And he's like 5, 6.
Yeah.
Roughly.
I don't even remember. Yeah, he's somewhere around there. He's really, really young.
Okay.
Wait, my youngest sister was 5 or 6, so he's like more like 8 or 9. But anyways.
Oh, okay.
8 or 9. And yeah, so after that, we, obviously moved as fast as we could.
Yeah.
We found a place that would rent to us in Buffalo. I'm a very like objective kind of black and like serious person.
Yeah.
I'm not a very emotional person, and it was actually when I was younger, it was even more so that way.
Oh wow.
So I've
not
been trying
stereotypical 16, 17-year-old girl.
No, I've been trying to teach myself to be
The
more, so I can be more
okay.
empathetic and to other people.
Yeah.
But for me, my one of my sisters told me, she's like, yeah, I thought you were just bottling it all up. And I'm like, no, I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
I wasn't bottling it up. I just didn't feel it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so my uncle and aunt, like, they came and like we're having a talk with the siblings, and everybody's crying, and I'm just kind of like,
yeah. Do you think it was part of your faith? Like you just knew like the way your dad was, like that wasn't him, and you're like, he's in a better place now. Like this isn't. Yeah.
I think it was
you
that.
You were just accepting and just trusting. You had faith that, like, I don't need to mourn. I'm okay with it. Like God has him now. Like I don't know. Is that maybe just a part of? No, I'm just trying to.
I think it was.
Yeah. Because
like I said before, if I could understand something, I'm pretty much good with it.
Yeah. You accept it.
And I could understand it.
Okay.
I knew I was old enough to understand kind of, well, I didn't know everything obviously. But I was old enough to kind of understand what had happened. And where he is now. And I'm very blessed that I get to see him again one day.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that started a section of life where there was a lot of darkness in my family. It wasn't just because my dad was the one that was like the kind, sensitive one in our family. Mm-hmm. A lot of us took after our mom, and the other ones who didn't and who were that kind of like more sensitive type of person, what are they going to do about it? Because they got mom, but she does her best. She did so good at trying to be that for us.
Yeah.
But it's just not really who she is as a person, so it was hard.
Yeah.
And so I have one sister in particular, and she's really like sensitive in that way, like my dad was, and so she struggled a lot. But the biggest thing in my family that was this kind of darkness is we don't talk about things. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We don't talk about really our emotions too much. But then also because of all the like slander I was telling you about, like about around my mom and dad and their situation. My mom had gotten into this thing where it's like no one needs to know anything about us because if they do, they're going to judge us. Blah 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 blah. Especially this stuff was going on with my dad. People were judging us.
That's a lot of weight.
Understand.
Yeah, your mom's trying to shoulder a lot of weight there.
And so she's like, no one needs to know anything. And so because of that, you know, different things just kind of got in there. You know what I mean? Like I made some friendships that weren't good for me. My sister had a boyfriend that really manipulative, wasn't good for her. But we don't got to talk about this stuff. We don't bring it up. People outside the family don't need to know this stuff. And so there was this.
But inside the family, did you bring it up or no? Like even there, it was still.
Not really, no.
So okay, what used to be very sharing together, like.
Yeah. Well, and it was never really sharing of emotion type of thing.
Okay.
That was never really a thing.
Okay, gotcha.
But.
At least sharing things though, like even just like questions or like concerns about a brother or sister, you might say something, but this guy kind of faded a little bit.
I feel like there really never was much of that. I think the reason, I personally think that this, after my dad died, there was a lot of attack on our family spiritually, because we were very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And the one of the biggest things that I regret in my life is that I was not there for my family the way I needed to be. I was concerned with, man, I want to find my purpose. I want to find my thing. And I still had this thing about wanting to be married, and I wanted to escape.
Yeah.
I want to be married. I want to start my own life away from this. And it was a crappy thing to do because at this point, I'm the oldest sibling at home. My younger brother, he had gone to college. My older sister's at college. I'm the oldest one at home. It was my responsibility to help take care of the family, to, I wasn't good at it, but to try to be there emotionally for them. There were things, like I said, my sister with her bad relationship, I should have been more involved in that. I should have done everything I could to stop it. But I was selfish, and I was spending time with friends trying to kind of escape.
When you're trying to figure yourself out too. I mean,
there's that.
Give yourself a little bit of grace here. I mean, maybe you can now, but back then, obviously, it sounds like you maybe weren't giving yourself the grace you should have.
Well, no, it was the other way around, because back then I was kind of like, this isn't really my problem. Back then I was like, I just want to go out and, find my own place, find my own purpose, do all this thing. And I was ignoring.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, my younger sister was she's amazing. She's she's literally the nicest person I've ever met. Nobody dislikes her. She was so strong. She did most of the homeschooling for my youngest sister. She did like all the cooking. She would do cleaning. She had like a job. She had a full-time job. I don't know if it's full-time. She had a job.
Yeah.
She comes home
and
then she just gives to the family.
Wow.
And I respect her so much. She is like my best friend, and she's an incredible woman. And so I was making all these like bad friendships, kind of ignoring the problems, and I'm thinking that I'm just looking for, like, I'm kind of ignoring it. I'm not purposefully being like, that's not my responsibility, let me stay. I was kind of just ignoring it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, let me go find my purpose, ignoring all the things that God wanted me to. Yeah, and there was a huge, huge opportunity there that God had for me. That was my purpose at that time. And I was ignoring it. That's why I couldn't find my purpose, because that was it. And I was ignoring it.
Wow.
God needed me to step up and needed me to care for my family. But I didn't do it. And there came a point that ironically, one of my friends that also, one of the not great friendships, kind of pointed that out to me, like, you're the oldest, you should step up. And I was like,
Excuse me, but dang, you're right.
And I was like, you're right. And I was like, all these friendships I've been making have been just pulling me further from God. And so I really cut off almost every friend I had. And I spent a while just trying to figure out my faith. And I started doing a little more. You know, I started helping with the cleaning and helping a little more with the schooling and Bible study with my youngest sister. Still not what I should have been doing, but I did a little more.
And you're working at the pizza place still right now?
I'm working at the pizza place, and
Yeah.
at this time I was in karate. I don't think I was a teacher yet.
Okay. So you're working
I was
pizza
a
place, but you're
student.
learning karate.
Learning karate.
Okay.
And yeah, and that was, you know, life for a while. Me trying to grow myself, grow my faith, figure things out, but still not fully submitted. You know, because I'm still have this idea of what I want. I want to find my purpose, whatever that is. Although I wasn't really acting like whatever it is, obviously, because I was ignoring it.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, God, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't. And wanting, above everything, wanting to be married, wanting to have a boyfriend.
Yep.
Start a family of my own, get married.
Okay.
And after a while of that, I'm slowly progressing, you know, but still not fully submitted, but slowly progressing. And then a couple years, probably like 1 or 2 years later, at this point, I think I'm like teaching karate, so I've got a black belt at this point. It's a little bit down the road.
You got a black belt at this point. Just throw your hands. I got a black belt at this point.
You know.
Like whatever. Like I was scared to even ever do it. Wanted to be in the digital marketing side of it. Now I'm black belt. No big deal. Okay, yeah, all right, no big deal.
Stuff is happening. I'm growing. I'm learning.
That's amazing. Cool. Very cool.
I seriously thought about it, and I had to. I decided I wanted my life to be Christ, and I wanted to really fully submit myself to whatever that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, this is when I was really struggling with this whole wanting to be married thing, and it was very bad. It was very destructive for me emotionally. It was not helping my like friendships. You know, I'm that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But God, and He was so patient with me. He gave me so much time to figure this out. He gave me so much time to do the right thing, but He just kept pushing me until it became, you know, I was so far out there that I'm like, I have no choice now. I'm either gonna sink or I have to swim.
Yeah.
Like I can't just be sitting here.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think grief played into some of this guilt about your position in your family?
I don't think so. And here's the thing. People are really confused by this. But I genuinely was not like actively grieving. And it wasn't even like I said, it wasn't like I'm sitting here holding this all inside. It's just like I understood it. I'm good with it. It's settled in my heart. So there are, I mean, I think the lack of having a father affected some things later on, but the grieving part of it wasn't really there. I think like I said, the lack of having a father led to, I had a lot of guy friends that were, I mean, all of the friendships really that I'm talking about, almost all of them that are like, these aren't good friendships for me, I was friends with guys, and I would spend time alone with them. We never dated, but I would spend time alone with them. Not spiritually mature guys even, just like they were Christian, but that's it. And it's destructive for a young woman who doesn't have a father. You know, it's not like I can bring a guy friend home and my dad can be like, who dis?
Yeah.
And like I said, my mom at the time was still in that mindset of, I trust my kids, we raise them well, I want to give them freedom, I don't want them to feel what I felt as a kid. So I had a lot of freedom. And I wasn't very wise with it. Nothing serious ended up happening with any of these guys, and I believe God was protecting me from that 100%. He protected me from some bad decisions I could have made. But yeah, so like I said, at the time, I was doing something wrong, so there was some guilt there. But it wasn't really until after, like, 2 years after I was out of that situation, my family was more settled and everything was going good, where I look back and I'm like, man, I dropped the ball hard on that.
Is that when you kind of really like realized like the fully submitting part is about the time you like realize that you dropped the ball? Or will you say you're still kind of looking for that?
That was the start of it.
Okay.
When I first realized I'm kind of dropping the ball here,
Yep.
that was the start of I need to get my life in order. And it was a process.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest thing that was the biggest turnaround in this whole story is, so I had this thing, I want to be married. It's the most important thing I want.
Yep.
And like I said, God was pushing me to get me to give it up.
Yep.
So you have to give this up, you know. And my younger brother, who was like, I will never date, is now dating this girl. And then I'm getting engaged. My older sister gets married, but she's older than me, so that didn't bug me too much. But my younger brother was dating. My younger sister, that's even younger than him, started dating this guy. And then they broke up. But then she started dating, and she's actually currently in a very, I think, a very good, healthy relationship with one of, like a guy friend of mine from dojo. And he actually, for a long time, he was like my best friend. So now my best friend and my sister, they found somebody, and that's each other.
Yeah.
And then my younger brother goes on a date with this girl, and my widowed mother starts dating. And I'm like,
this whole time, your whole goal
I'm alone.
is like, all I want to do is be married, young, and have kids, be a
Yep.
family, and start this thing.
And
Like, this
so,
isn't fair.
man, every person, it just, and I was like, okay, at this point, the jealousy and all that stuff, this is going to destroy me if I don't give this up.
Yeah.
And so that's where God gets you, you know?
Yeah.
He's got to break you down
You get to the
until
end of
we're
your
willing.
road. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're stubborn people.
Yeah.
We're blind. And so that was the end of the road for me. It's like I knew at that point, if I don't give this up, if I don't turn my life around, if I don't truly submit and give it all to God, it's not going to end well for me. And so I made that decision, and there was a lot of counseling with my mentors. It was, for the first 2 months of me coming to that decision, it was like crying myself to sleep every night.
What did that decision look like? I mean, did that cut off all of the hanging out with these other guys and stuff? You kind of just cut off those relationships altogether? Just even friends with guys was kind of like, I don't even want that right now. I got to figure something else out. Or what did that kind of look like for you?
So the cutting off the guy friends was part of the process before that.
Okay.
But yeah, so so what it looked like is, so at this point, I don't have these guy friends with weird feelings I'm struggling with.
Yep.
It's kind of just me and God.
Yeah.
That's it. And so it was Bible study, prayer, wrestling, and it took a while, and it was a process. And the way I kind of explained it to people, and this is, for me, this is that one thing that we were talking about earlier, the one thing that God is going to ask you to give up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that thing, well, not necessarily, but a lot of times it's that one thing that you can't do. You want this, and you're going to get it.
You think it's what you need to do.
Yep. And I was always low-key afraid that was the thing. But then at this point, I knew that was the thing.
Wow.
So, yeah, I explained it to people. Basically, it's like you're on a path, and you come to a wall, and there's a tunnel, and it's a tunnel of fire, and it is the only way through that wall and to continue on the path. No way to get around it. And yeah, you can stand there on that side of the wall for as long as you want. That's what I did. I was standing there on that side of the wall. I don't want to give this up. I want to do, this is what I want, and I don't see any reason not to want this.
This wall will move eventually.
And I'm praying for it, and I want God to send me a godly man. And it's like, like Paul says, when you want something, ask of God, but not to consume upon your own lusts. Ask nothing wavering, but not to consume upon your own lusts. And that's, I was asking wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, I want this. God, I think I need this. So come on.
Well, we agree here, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was, I decided, I'm going through that tunnel. You know what I mean? And it hurt like hell.
Yeah.
it was bad. And I wasn't even fully convinced by the time I got to the other side I wouldn't be miserable.
Yeah.
You know? Because
Yeah.
I'm like, all the women I knew that were maybe 25, 30 plus and single were low-key kind of depressing. They were kind of depressing. They were kind of like super lonely and sad all the time. And so I was like, man, even if I make it to the other side of this, is that just going to be my
Is
life?
it even gonna be worth it?
and this is where God, I need to have faith to get through this. And God really showed me there's no other way. I'm getting through. I tried.
Yeah.
I tried to give it up before, but I wasn't fully submitted. And this is where God said, you're going to have faith now or you're going to suffer. And that's fair.
Yeah.
I pushed him.
Yeah.
So, it was a process. When I got to the other side, my relationship with God was unlike anything I had ever experienced. And I realized that I wasn't giving everything to God because I was waiting to give it to a man. But when I gave it to God, it was incredible. And I felt kind of like the analogy I use is kind of like Israel before they had a king. You know, and they're like, God, give us a king. We want a king. God's like, I'm your king. What do you? But he gave it to him anyways. That's what I was doing to God. God, I want a husband. And he's like, I'm enough for you. And it's incredible. That's really as soon as I did that, as soon as that process was kind of complete, it's just, first of all, everything after that was so much easier than that was.
Yeah.
But it's so amazing, the kind of relationship that you can have with God when you have faith and you're fully submitted and like you can't even comprehend it. Like I don't know what's going on in the lives of those other ladies that are single and seem kind of depressed and whatever. I don't know what's going on in their life, but I have found nothing but completeness and joy with that process. And all because of God. Everything that I ever expected to rely on a man for, God gives me. You know, he gives me guidance. He provides for me. He protects me. And I just see that so much in what he calls me to do something. And I say, okay, I'm going to do that. He provides for me to do it. Even going to school right now.
Yeah.
This is a very expensive school.
Yeah.
University of Northwestern. Yeah. I was telling my mom, like, before my financial aid and stuff kicked in, I was looking at my account. It's like, you owe $22,000 for a semester.
That's wild.
And then my financial aid, yeah,
it's not okay.
And the financial aid and the scholarships and stuff kicked in, and it's like, you owe $3,400. I was like, okay,
all right,
let's go.
Yeah, still $3,400 for one semester.
Yeah,
still a lot of money.
I shouldn't be at that school. Yeah. You know what I mean? But God, I knew that God wanted me there. And he made it happen.
Yeah.
And so, and in my travels, I've traveling around the country for different reasons, traveling out of the country. You know, I did a missions trip to Mexico for 2 months.
Yeah.
By myself.
Wow.
I traveled alone
an introvert.
to this ministry.
So as this started,
not anymore.
Started
this was
as an introvert.
That. This was.
Yeah.
I got new life.
I know.
Point.
I'm just taking it like going back here. You were an introvert, and now you go through a traumatic experience with your family. You get through that with a strength and a resilience that not a lot of people would. And then you get into karate, casual black belt, no big deal. And then you go, you know what? I'm going to fully submit to God and give up on what I thought my goal and dream was. Mm-hmm. And now you're going on a mission trip to Mexico by yourself as a young lady.
Yeah.
Like introvert, mission trip to Mexico by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
It was amazing. The mission trip?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It was
Was that your first mission trip? Was it like your first?
It was my first solo mission trip.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think like chronologically. We're still good.
Okay.
So I had went to this orphanage in Mexico 3 other times with my friends and their group. We'd go down for a week.
Okay.
And we'd help out in the kitchen a little bit, help out in the nursery a little bit, hang out with the kids, you know.
Where in Mexico is this?
Ensenada. Well, right outside Ensenada. So it's like you go to San Diego and then you drive like 4 hours across the border.
Okay.
It's pretty close. It's not like super deep into Mexico.
Okay.
It's in like the Baja
Okay.
California Peninsula.
Okay.
And so I'm like, man, this is kind of a cool thing to see and experience, but I'm not doing anything. I'm not really helping them in any way. I'm just kind of coming for the experience. And I was like, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to do something
You
for
want to
them.
make a difference.
And while I was there, one of the times I was there, it was Christmas, and I made a little drawing for the family, the orphanage owners, runners, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
For Christmas, and they were like, "This is really cool. Hey, you should come do some murals for us." And so I was like, you know what? And this was the point. I was still kind of like, I don't want to go to college, even though I was like giving up on this dream of like, I'm for sure gonna get married and be a stay-at-home mom.
Yep.
I still didn't really want to go to college because
Okay.
I didn't have any specific like passion, and my family has a really difficult time with decision making. I think we got it from our dad. It's like we're always worried about what the best decision is, and are we making the best decision? And so we kind of stay in this middle ground where we're not making a decision.
Don't want to make a mistake, which
don't
then
make a
prevents you
mistake.
from making any choice at
Yeah,
all.
or like
kind
this is
of
a
thing.
good choice, but is it the best choice?
Okay. Gotcha. Yep.
A lot of us kind of struggle with that. And so that was kind of me. I was kind of like, I don't want to go to college, but I want to get into missions kind of. So I'm like, so I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go and do the art for them
Yeah. By yourself.
by myself.
Yep.
So I went down there. It was a really interesting time in my life because when I went down there was a big drama going on between the orphanage people, and there's a second ministry. Lady I had met on one of my other past missions trip there. She had a big family. She's okay with me. Like, she's told me before, like, talk to whoever about you want. She said I could talk about this. She had, between these two mission trips, I was gone. She had an affair with a Mexican man, and she was pregnant. And she since had her and her husband. I believe that there was true repentance on her part. She made it right with her husband. They are very public about what they did, that it was what she did, that it was wrong. But the orphanage, they were kind of, those two ministries were in association at the time. They were working together, and so the orphanage was like, "Hey, we don't want you around anymore."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's fair.
Yeah,
you know, they don't work for you
probably.
anymore. That's fine." And so I got there, and I was talking to the owners, and that's what they were saying at first. It's like, we don't associate with them. You're an adult, do whatever you want, but we don't associate with them. I'm like, okay. But the longer I stayed, the more apparent it became to me that they, in fact, didn't want me to have any association with them. They kind of wanted me to come to that on my own. You know, they wanted me to figure it out, I think. And so little things like they would start mentioning other things that she had done. And the one guy running it sent me like a video, a sermon about the spirit of Jezebel and all these things. So they're like hinting that maybe stay away from these people. But I'm like, I'm gonna find the truth. I'm not just gonna accept one side narrative. So I was friends with them at this point because I had met them on a previous trip.
Yep.
So I was still spending time with them. You know, I was doing art for the orphanage, doing murals by the playgrounds in the mission center, and then like on the weekends I would hang out with this other family. And I had a lot of talks with them, you know, hearing both sides, trying to figure out what the truth is. And like I said, I feel like she repented. I understand if the orphanage didn't want association with them, but I wasn't going to shun them.
Yeah.
You know, we all suck. We're all
I like that. We all suck. Yeah.
suck.
We all suck.
We all have our stuff. We all make our, mistakes. And Jesus was more than generous with those types of people in the Bible.
He used them.
Yeah.
Still does.
Absolutely. Very willing to associate with them. Eating in their homes. Intimate worship and fellowship with them. And so I was like, it's not my right to sit here and judge them for this thing. And so that's one of the things that I was kind of dealing with and navigating is, where do I stand on this? And man, I felt so blessed. All the stuff that I had gone through before then, all the spiritual growth, I felt like was just preparing me for this. Like, now I'm here, I'm a missionary doing this thing, and I feel confident. I'm hearing both sides. I feel confident in my decision. I think it's scripturally based. Y'all can can say that I'm associating with a Jezebel and I blah, 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 but I know how I know where my conscience is.
Yep.
And and then at that time, there were other things going on in the ministry. One of the staff members, a married Christian man with 3 kids, had been having an affair with the oldest girl at the orphanage. So obviously he was kicked out.
Mhm.
And so there's just, and I think there was like 1 or 2 smaller things. There's a lot going on at that ministry, and I was there for
Yikes.
only 2 months.
Yeah.
And I was just thrown right in the middle of it
By yourself.
by myself. But let me tell you, like I said, I didn't feel alone at all.
Yeah.
I 100% felt like God is with me. I felt confident about the decisions I was making. I felt like he had been preparing me to deal with this. And it's crazy to say, but it was 2 of the best months of my life.
Okay.
I was dealing with real problems. I was getting to actively use what I had learned. Actively be using scripture, and not like the problems so much that I was having, at home.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to college. I'd go to work, teach
Yeah.
karate. That's
Totally
kind of
different. Totally different.
That's
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I was having a good time. I was doing, the art, which was such a fun experience. I didn't think I was going to be able to. I'd never done murals before.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to learn and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think God was definitely used what I did there to teach me and to grow me. And I came home with a puppy.
You came home from a puppy
I came home with
from
a
Mexico?
puppy. Yeah. I wanted a dog so bad, and I was like, this will be a surprise for my family. Yeah. So I went and I found there was this tiny little puppy. There's dogs everywhere in Mexico.
Yep.
Everywhere. Dogs and cats. For the most part, you want to stay away from because they've got all kinds of diseases and things.
Not you. You want to grab a puppy.
I want a puppy.
Yep.
So I get this puppy, and the lady has just a huge litter of them. The fence isn't even they're crawling all over the place. The only reason they stay there is because the mom dog is there.
Yep.
They could get away easy. And she said I could take it for free. I gave her a little bit of money for it, but I brought it to the vet. The only thing, this might have changed since, but the only thing you need to get an animal like a dog or a cat across the border if you're driving or walking is like a card from the vet that just has their name on it. That's basically just to prove that it's your dog.
Yep.
Because people will sell. So people coming up to the border, people try to sell you things. There's people standing all along the road, and they've got like food and tourist things, and they're just walking around from car to car because there's a long wait at the border. You're sitting there for hours sometimes, and people will walk around with puppies that they probably stole.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you get to the border, and they're kind of like, "Is this your dog?" And you're like, "It is now. I bought it." And they're like, "Ha, take it away."
Yeah.
No way. It's not your
I don't
dog.
believe you.
So as long as you have like a vet card that's just like, this is my dog, you don't have to have all the vaccinations. You can just take it across. They actually didn't even check the car. When we went back, they didn't know I had the dog in there, so she could have been an illegal immigrant for all they know. But she wasn't. She had her
Legally
thing.
crossed.
Yep.
Legally owned dog.
Yeah, and she's the craziest little dog. I never had a dog before. She's some kind of shepherd mix, but she's small. She's fully grown, but she's like this big.
Okay.
She's ton of energy, tons of personality, extremely smart. And
Sounds like they take
I
after
love
their
her.
owners, doesn't it? So you're in Mexico doing these murals. Is this
Yeah.
when the art thing and the art illustration kind of started clicking in your brain? Like, hey, maybe I want to go to school and
this is
like
kind
during
of
this
like
2
maybe God
months
can
was
use
just this huge I don't know if you want to call it an awakening, but just like a moment for you where like a lot of things just became clearer for you.
Yeah, it was like, so I wasn't at the point yet where I'm like, I want to do this as a career, but it was like, man, God can use this. And because I was also teaching, I was doing like karate classes for the
down
orphanage
in Mexico?
kids. Yeah, so I was like,
Cool.
that's so funny because
Yeah.
to me, like before that, I was kind of considering should I go to school, and I was thinking maybe electrical. I think that'd be interesting. I was really my favorite subject. One of my favorite subjects in school was math. So I'm like, I feel like I could get it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Would be
Yep.
too hard. And I went for a semester of generals, and I was like, actually, I didn't want to do this. But I wanted to do it because I was like, if I go and do mission stuff, I want to do something useful. And I was like, electrical, it's useful. It's construction stuff. That's useful.
Yep.
So I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, I want to do mission stuff, but I don't have any useful skills. All I know is karate and art. And then the orphanage is like, hey,
we want
karate
karate and art.
Do karate and art? And I'm like, no way. So I did, and I was like, man, God really can just use me like that. That's crazy. So it was an amazing experience. I loved it. I came back after the 2 months, and I was like, I'm completely lost now. I don't know.
I'm not in Mexico anymore.
I don't know what to do. Should I go back to school? Should I just go on another mission trip? Should I blah blah blah? And at this point, I really was. I really think God had like done this where it's like there's a roadblock now. And what am I going to do about it? And I realized I just needed someone to make the decision for me. I can't do it. And I can't, I can pray all day long. God, show me the right decision. But, and he had shown me, kind of like guided me and stuff. But at this point, he kind of shut that off. And I'm like, I didn't know why. I'm like, why aren't you showing me what to do next? Why am I completely stuck? And I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and I realized, I'm not married, and I don't have a dad. So I don't have any, you don't have that kind of, authoritative male role model in your life. And so what I did is I went to my pastor, who had been counseling me for years. He's, the person I go to. We think a lot alike. We get along well. And I was like, I knew him really well. He had been, kind of a mentor to me, and I trusted him.
Yeah.
And so I went to him, and I asked him, I'm like, will you be an authoritative mentor in my life with the accountability and all that comes with that? And
he's like, no, please no. I'm just kidding.
He thought about it, he prayed about it, and he agreed. And so we sat down, we had and I'm like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
And he goes, I think you should go back to school, and I think you should go to school for art. And that just made me think back to what my dad told me all those years ago. Belle, I never do this, but I really think that you should go to school for graphic design.
Wow.
And I was, and the trip to Mexico and God using my art, and I was like, okay, at this point, I feel like it's pretty loud and clear. God wants me to do art.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And we started to look around at some schools. I asked him to come with me as kind of a second opinion, but also, I could kind of look at the art programs, and I wanted to take Bible classes. So I'm like, you check out the Bible programs. Tell me if they're legit. You vet them for me. Yeah. Tell me if they're legit.
Yep.
We visited Crown, University of Northwestern. I visited Bethel, but that was by myself. That was before we had this conversation.
Yep.
So me with him, we visited Crown and University of Northwestern.
Yep.
And when we were done checking out University of Northwestern, the second one we went to, he was talking to me. He's like, man, I hate the fact that I kind of love this school for you. I feel like, because he's got really strict standards. I said, this guy's smart.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
I respect him a lot. And he's super strict on, what the Bible classes need to look like and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, there's just something about this school that seems right for you. And it was the only school I had ever heard of that had an animation and illustration degree. I'd never heard of that in my life. And I started looking at other schools to see if it was a thing. And it was like, it's really rare. And so I was like, okay, I think this is the one. And I knew it was really expensive, but I was like, this is where God wants me. So I applied, filled out my FAFSA and all that stuff. I got a bunch of financial aid. And I actually even remember when I said I did a semester of generals because I was thinking about doing electrical.
Yeah.
It was a semester of generals at a community college, so I got a 4.0 because it's easy. And apparently, if you have a 4.0, doesn't matter where you got it, doesn't matter what classes it was in, you get a huge scholarship.
Ding, 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 ding.
And the scholarship that my school was going to give me, as long as I don't fail a class or get below a 2.0,
Yep.
it lasts my entire degree.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So, God's using things.
This is
What is it say, all things will work together for those who love God and are the called according to his purpose. And that's not all things that you try to do right. It's just all things.
Yeah.
All things, he uses situations in your life. He uses times that you think are just a waste. And he'll use it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I get to go to this amazing school, and it's this really fun, unique time in my life where I have so much. I'm so blessed because of the fact that I'm single, because I can spend time and do this.
Yeah.
And then I can spend time and travel, and I want to be like a missionary artist. I want to travel around, do murals, T-shirts, logos, website animations for ministries.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm so excited to do that, but I'm content with where I am right now because I know it's where God wants me. But yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So going to college full time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And are you doing anything like in the church? Are you leading anything or any groups, or are you just doing a lot of absorbing and learning right now?
There's a lot of absorbing and learning.
Okay. Yeah.
There are groups of people that I'm particularly interested in that I want to be involved in. One of them is kind of like a someday thing. I want to do something with kids.
Yep.
I love kids and I love teaching.
Yeah.
And I would love to kind of settle down and work with a ministry, like an orphanage or school, eventually. I don't think that's what God wants me to do right now.
Okay.
But eventually.
Yeah.
And I really have a heart for young women who grew up in a Christian home, because so many of them are in that place that I was in where they desperately just want to get married. They don't really want to go to college because they don't really want to have a career.
Yep.
And on top of that, a lot of the churches that they're going to are churches where, we'll sing the songs, we'll make you feel real good, but there's no substance to it.
Mm.
Yep. We didn't do a deep dive. There's no like secure foundation, for your faith. And your head has to lead your heart.
Yeah.
It can't be the other way around, because one of these days, these girls that, like, a lot of the girls probably that go to my school, and that was kind of their, all Christianity was to them is just the love and just the relationship, and that's it, are going to step out into the real world, and their faith is going to be shaken. The Bible says, study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman that needs not to be ashamed. Rightly dividing the word of truth. We are to have the love, and we are to have the relationship. It's so important. But you need to know your stuff. You need to study. And that's not, let me read my 2 verses a day, my little devotional, my Bible in a year plan. That's not studying. That's a great thing to do. It's a great thing to do, but it's not studying. Like, if I come to you and you say, you believe this, why do you believe it? I don't know. I guess I was raised. My parents taught me that. Maybe they'll have one verse that they don't know the context of.
Yeah.
And so my desire would be to help young women like that. I've been seriously thinking about starting a Bible study at my school for young women, and just helping to kind of strengthen that relationship. And so the thing is,
my vote would be yes. I think that'd be amazing. So
the thing is, I think a lot of people, even a lot of Christians, because this is how I just set myself for this, the way that I used to think about, if you have like a really strong relationship with the Lord, it means that you're super seriously following all of these rules. And yeah, some parts of your life are better and happier, but you're also, there's a little bit of like misery to it because you're constraining yourself and you're following all these rules. And I partly think it's because I have seen Christians that kind of do it that way. They're doing it kind of like the Pharisees, where they're following all the stuff,
But
but
doing
their
it
hearts,
miserably.
they don't have the submission. You have to have the 100% in submission, to have, you know, that faith. And what, you know, because what does the Bible say conquers, you know, I'm gonna paraphrase it again, you know, we conquer, you know, we're conquerors, but what conquers the world, right? Not us, our faith.
Yeah.
Our faith is what conquers, not us doing the works.
Yeah.
You know, not us sharing the gospel. Our faith is at the root of it. And if you have that kind of relationship, and it takes work to get there. It does. It's not like it's going to happen overnight. You have to decide, and you have to abide by your decision to get deep into the Word of God, to pray, to learn, to grow, and be fully submitted. And when you get to the other side of that first big hurdle,
Yeah.
it's a totally different world. You know, the Bible says, walk in the Spirit and you will not fulfill the lusts of the flesh. You don't even want to. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you got temptations, and we're human.
Yeah,
we're
those,
sinful.
those exist. Yeah.
But it's not, I'm sitting here
It's very surface level.
trying my best. I'm fighting and I'm battling against this stuff. It's like you're feeding into the Spirit, and it's what God is producing out of you because of that. That's causing you to want the things of God, and to look at the things around you and say, this is important. This is not important. I don't care about this. And
This distraction is just that. It's a distraction,
Yeah.
but you can discern. You know that.
It's a
And you just
distraction.
kind of just brush it off.
Yeah, your life as a single woman, if you can get to that place where you are fully content and it's just you and God, and you're pouring everything you have into that relationship, is the most blessed time right now of your life. You know, I'm not that sad, you know, I thought was going to happen. I'm not that sad.
Yeah.
I'm not that depressed. Oh, I'm so lonely. No, I feel so loved, and I feel so comforted and so encouraged, and it's unlike anything I ever thought God would do in my life. And so I've never, and this is why I say, we were kind of talking earlier about getting older. The older I get, the happier I get.
Yeah.
Because the closer I get to God, the more that I learn, and the more that I can do for others. You know, the more God uses this stuff in my past. When I'm staring somebody in the face and they're telling me about all these hardships in their life, I can be like, I get it. You know, I can tell them what happened to my dad.
Yeah.
And now they connect with me.
Yeah.
And they trust me more. And now we're going to have a discussion about what's in the Bible. You know what I mean?
Belle, do you think what you were just describing would be sanctification?
Explain that.
Like the process of growing closer to God. The submission, submission, and then the follow through would be obedience. So it would be like dying to yourself.
Yeah. Daily. Yeah.
For Christ.
Oh yeah. It definitely is. As Christians, we're all in that process. God wants to use you for so much more than you can imagine. All you have to do is submit, is to have faith. And the thing is, if it's genuine, if you're not just telling, because there were years where I was telling myself, I was submitted, I have faith,
Yeah.
but I wasn't. Because and the thing is, I wasn't, and I know that now because I didn't have peace. And when you do, and you fully submit, you will have peace. I didn't want to go to college for art. The first time I went to college, I didn't like it. I didn't like school.
Yeah.
I thought if I do art a bunch, I'm gonna get sick of it. But I'm doing what God wants me to do. I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
And there's so much peace, and there's so much joy with it, and I really want to find. I mean, the idea of starting a Bible study, that's one way. I really want other people to see what kind of a life you can have if you're just close to God. And like I said, it's very difficult, but it's simple. And
that's a great way to put it. It's very difficult, but it's simple.
It's simple.
Yeah.
And it's worth taking that leap and having that faith. Because you might, if you're fully convinced that it's not going to be better on the other side, do it anyways. Just trust what God says. You don't have to feel it, you know? You don't follow your heart, you follow your head, right? You read the word of God.
No one says that ever. I like that. Don't follow your heart, follow your head.
Follow
Everyone
your
always
head.
says, follow your heart.
No.
Follow your heart.
Your heart will follow. You know? If I was following my heart before, and I was miserable.
Yeah.
And I decided I was gonna follow God, and my emotions followed that. And it's not,
because that's the hardest part to get, right? Is your head.
and not
your
even,
heart will follow.
yes.
I love that, the way you say that, lay that out.
And it's not even, it's the kind of peace and joy that you read about in the Bible. You know, it's completely unobtainable by us. It's the peace which surpasses all understanding that guards our hearts and our minds through Christ Jesus. It's such a gift. Yeah, you don't gotta do anything, you know. God will direct your desires, and He will direct your heart if you just submit to Him.
Wow. BelleSchmidt, wow, that's a lot. Do you have anything else you want to add? I mean, that was you gave a lot there. Is there something else on your heart you want to add, or is there anything that Chuck or Adam got over there in the peanut gallery? I gotta come up with a better name than the peanut gallery.
I'd like it.
Okay.
Well, I think Belle's this testimony's been like an arc, and I think there's a couple things that I think, like Belle's talking about ministering to single young Christian women, and I think the definition of feminism, or like power in femininity, like Belle's a 2nd degree black belt in karate, right? Like,
Which she doesn't care about. She just kind of scoffs at it. No big deal.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And like, she has been an inspiration for my daughter as a woman, right? Like, Kat's a young woman. Kat is 8, and she's going to be getting her brown belt. Like, and that started, BelleSchmidt was the first class that she took.
Oh.
Right? Like, do you remember that little picture?
No.
Or that little, like, Leland and Kat, and Leland's 2.5 and Kat's 4, and we're just trying to get them in an activity together.
Yeah.
And so, like, Belle's talking about some hard concepts that I think societally, like submission. I mean, how many women hear the word submission
And hate it.
Hate it, right?
Yeah.
She's also talking about living a life that is difficult because of that obedience, and like something that was, when you were talking about this arc, kind of, let's visit what the fruit of the Spirit is, right? This is Galatians 5:22, chapter 5, 22, 23. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. those who belong to Christ just have crucified the flesh of its passion and its desires. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in the step with the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking and envying each other. Like, I mean, that's that's a way to live, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what Jesus says is my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And you talk about it being difficult, and on the one side, you know, it is, but it's so worth it. And I mean, God's going to challenge you and he's going to grow you, but it makes it's parts of it are just easier the longer you're in it. You know what I mean? It's that idea of you're going to feed the spirit instead of feeding the flesh. The more you feed one, the stronger it's going to get, and the weaker the other's going to get. But I'm glad you brought up, you know, talking about femininity. I wouldn't call myself a feminist, but I am a huge advocate for biblical femininity. If we look at, people are always like, Proverbs 31 woman, she's meek and she's humble and she cares for her family. Do you know what else the Proverbs 31 woman is? It says that she's strong. She strengthens her arm. She girds her loins with strength. She's not weak. She's not late. She's not some prim little, you know, whatever. She's working. Her husband is blessed by her because people respect him because of her, because she's not out here, you know, talking bad about him, gossiping. She's showing respect to him with her actions and with her words. He fully trusts her with his money. She's a businesswoman. Do you know what I mean? She's making good decisions that are benefiting her family. She dresses nicely. This is a big thing that I think. She's not walking around the house in a messy bun and sweatpants every day. She's dressing nicely. She's presenting herself in a very dignified way. She submits, you know, to the authority of her husband and ultimately to the authority of God. And she's up early. She's up before everyone in her household to serve her household. She's up before the servants to serve her household. And this idea of she brings her food from afar. You know, it's not, let's have tater tot hot dish for the 5th time this week. She's providing good things for her family. She's running the household. Her husband trusts her. This is the type of woman that young women need to aspire to be. Is not, you know, not a sweet, meek, super quiet, you know, I'll cook and I'll clean, but I'm weak and I blah blah blah, and not a boss bitch. This in between, this is what the Bible says a feminine woman looks like.
I would say that John and I have wives like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
100%. Like, yeah, that's so just as a dude, I get bored with that boss bee thing. Like, there's tension, right?
Yeah.
And then the super like girly girl, like you can't hold my attention.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not real life.
You're gonna make it a halfway down the trail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then I'm gonna be carrying you. You know?
Yep.
Nah, I don't equally yoked, right? Like,
yeah.
And there's times where we drive each other, and I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool. But you trusting God in the season, going, I don't need a guy. I want to be equal. I want to be yoked to you, right? And there is no equal.
And I believe that if he wants me to be married, there'll come a time where he'll hand off some of that responsibility to a man. I believe I'll feel the need for that, you know, because kind of like when he stopped guiding me in what I had to do with my life, it's because, okay, Belle, it's time for you to actually find a mentor that has some say in your life. So he handed off that responsibility. And I believe I think that's what's going to happen if he has someone for me, is I'm going to feel that need. I'm going to feel like, wow, you were doing this and now you're not, and this because he provided somebody else to be those things for me. I
had somebody, because I hopefully it's, my daughter's 7, so I got years from now. But, things you just start thinking about things as a dad. And I had someone say that his daughter's, super on fire for Christ and just went off to college. And he's like, what I tell her is, we talk about guys and dating and stuff like that, is like, nothing wrong with it. But if you go full speed, and this, I think of you right now, if you go full speed at God and with God, and you're on that path and you look left or right, and all of a sudden there's a guy on that same path at the same speed you are, then God put that there for you. But if you have to like go backwards or have to like make it hard, maybe it's not there, And I'm just thinking about that. I'm like, wow. I'm like, but what a thing for, like, how do you, as a dad, like, how do I convey that to like my daughter eventually, but hopefully I can teach her enough and show her by my discipline and the grace that God's given me and the strength he gives me that maybe she'll follow a similar path. But I just think like as you were talking, I'm like, that's like Belle, like just full speed.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
God comes first.
Yeah.
What he calls me to do comes first. And I would say this all the time. If God really wanted me, and I was convinced that he wanted me to stay here, marry, have a big family like I originally wanted to, and I was convinced of that, he would direct my desire in that way, and I would. It doesn't seem likely to me that that's what's going to happen at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like, and this is just like a personal thing.
Yeah.
This is not necessarily any kind of like conviction or anything. I feel like if God has someone for me, they're probably out there right now doing the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or studying up to do that. They're not, I'm not going to, run into some cute waiter at Chipotle and be like,
this is
you're
the one.
No.
This is the one.
And God can do what he wants.
Yeah.
I just don't see that as likely.
Yeah.
And so even when I started going to a Christian school, people were like, oh, it'd be good for you to be surrounded by some Christian young men. I'm like, first of all, these guys are like younger than me. I kind of started college late. They're little. I look around and they're just like my little brothers. They all like my little brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of feel like at this point, the way God's directing my life, if he has someone for me, they're not in this stage of their life right now.
Yeah.
They might be. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not tempting God.
Yeah.
He can do what he wants.
Yeah.
If there's a guy and he's like a couple years younger than me and he's like in seminary or whatever, or doing I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And God will direct my desire that way
Yeah.
if that's what he wants. I just don't see that as likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is one other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Just one other step in the process.
Yeah.
And this was a more recent thing that happened. This was not even like a year ago.
Okay.
Before you start, can I say it? Do not contact us if you want to go on a date with Belle. Okay? It's not a challenge.
No, it's not.
Don't contact us.
No, because you know what? I believe.
New number. Who dis?
I believe that God. I want God's timing, and I want God's way, not a dating site, not getting set up. I've made that mistake before. Bad mistake. I don't want somebody else's pick. I don't want a website's pick. I want God's pick, in God's way, in God's timing. But yeah, thank you, Adam.
Now on to you're in the last year, or the thing you want to bring up. Yeah.
So this was just an interesting thing to me. So I'm on this journey, figuring out what God wants for my life, being like, I'm submitting to this. And like I said, I have kind of an aggressive personality. I'm a little sarcastic sometimes. And so some people kind of think I'm kind of mean. And to some extent, it's like, I need to learn to be kinder and more empathetic. I have a strong personality. And, we all have things that creep up. I have pride that creeps up. I have jealousy that creeps up. And it obviously affects the way I treat people.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, and so I was trying to fix this thing. I was like, there's this thing. I don't know what it is. It's causing me to not be able to treat people or even think of them the way I want to be able to. And I'm praying, I'm doing my Bible study, but there's something in the way. What is it? And I prayed about it and I was praying about it, but one day I'm like, you know what? Fully submitted. And I prayed, I'm like, God, I just want your word says Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you, and I am seeking and I am asking and I am knocking. What is it? And the only thing that I could think, and it was like a big blaring sign in my head, was social media. And the only thing I've ever used social media for primarily is posting art. I don't like post a bunch of stuff about myself on social media, but it was the distraction. Every time, I have a spare minute. Let me pull this up. And so what it was doing is it was stopping me from spending deep thought, time and deep thought about things that I was thinking, questioning, feeling. It was stopping me from, it wasn't giving me any opportunity to do that. Because every time I have a free second, I pull out my phone.
Yep.
And of course, anyone you say this to, they're like, yeah, social media is so bad. No one's going to do anything about it, though.
Yeah, not a lot of people do.
They will all agree. Every single person will agree.
Yeah.
It's bad for you. You shouldn't be on it. Blah, 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 blah. But it's the only place I can post my art. It's the only place I can connect, stay in touch with people. I want to see what they're up to, all this stuff. There's always excuses.
Yep.
And I was like, it's the only place that I was sharing my art. I don't have a website or anything. People were seeing my art and contacting me and commissioning me. But I'm like, okay, you if you want this, yes. And that night I deleted all my social media accounts. Got rid of my Instagram, my Facebook. I saved most of the art that I had posted. Some of it I lost. And it was like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulder the second I did that. The next month, it was kind of tough because, you got that...
The void.
Yeah.
Right?
But that just seriously... That was just another step in deepening that relationship with God, is now I don't have this distraction.
Removing distractions.
Yeah.
Removing...
People have different things that tempt them and distract them and hinder them, and that was mine. And I didn't fully realize the extent of what it meant to get rid of it until I got rid of it. And yeah, so much more joy in life, even more than God was already giving me, even more joy, even better relationships with the people around me.
Well, now you're not relying on that technology for communicating with people, or even if you weren't really communicating with them, you were still it was a piece of distraction or time, and now you have more time to be present and be with people, or be present and be with the Word and be with God. So it's just it's a win-win, right?
Yep. But yeah, so
but it's hard for people to realize that. And at 23 years old, for all the things that you are realizing, it's really all the glory to God and showing and you've been very adamant and honest and giving glory to God with, He's the one guiding you through this. He's showing you, all right, this area, we're going to move this, or we're going to get rid of this, or you really, really, really wanted this. Well, I think we're going to close that door and we're going to go through that fiery tunnel that scares,
Yeah.
So that's incredible.
Yeah.
Hearing it from a younger person that realizes it and can see it and see the forest through the trees is so special. And you're such a light for young women and just society. I think you bring a lot of hope and a lot of excitement and just revival. That I know there's revival, and I know everyone likes to talk about all the negativity and all the evil and everything else, which is very real. But being a light, being hope, but being strong in how you're doing it, and being so aligned with the Bible and Jesus, His plan for you, is incredible. I mean, it's so much better than I thought it was gonna be. Yeah, God is my life. He is the most important thing to me. Anytime that I'm being particularly grumpy or rude or just I can't even imagine these
unkind,
things, but according to her,
everybody that knows me that's listening to this is gonna be like, I know exactly what she's talking about. It's because I've not been walking with the Lord like I should be. Maybe I haven't done Bible study in a couple days. Maybe I haven't been spending long enough in prayer. Whatever it is, because the second you connect with that, it's a tree planted by the water. It's His life. is what's coming out of me. Every good thing is from God. I'm a terrible person. I'm not kind. I am selfish. I am proud. Anytime God has given me the freedom to love people, He's shown me what love is, so that I can give it to other people. And that's one of my prayers, because I said I'm not a super emotional person. So that's one of my prayers a lot of the time is, help show me how to give, show me, your love, and how to give it to other people. How do I want to know how to reach them. I want to learn how to be more empathetic, how to connect with them better. But yeah, it's not me. I'll tell you that.
Wow. I'm blown away. I mean, I learned a lot just listening to you, and it's weird having someone almost 10 years younger than you with all these life experiences and the wisdom you have. But knowing where you found it just makes me that much more hungry to keep opening the Bible and keep digging. And I think you inspire everybody. So keep going, keep listening. And Belle, I really appreciate you being on and sharing your testimony and where God's calling you and using you and your direction. And I wish you nothing but the best.
I appreciate it. I'm glad I could be here.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Till next time.
Thanks, Belle.